After you have made the harder choice, there is a different parameter that comes into the equation, and it is the time of execution. You are making the hard choice. You are seeing an opportunity, and you are scared that it might go well or it might go completely abnormal. The moment you think about what risk it possesses and start to weigh it down in your brain, it seems scary to you, unimaginably scary. So your time of execution becomes way more. You take so much time to do just a single thing. And that is what we are going to discuss today, the time of execution. Now, while overviewing what would be the best probable cause, what would be for the time of execution, for increased time of execution, would be the fear. That is the only part of the equation that causes increase in time of execution. There are some other parameters, but they're of less importance. Most important is fear. If you look at any decision you have taken and the time you have wasted to take the hard decision, you will see that the time was only taken away by your fear, not from anything else, not the situation. And if you think that situation, you are just giving excuses. High probability. So now that we understand why we have an increased time of execution, we need to just figure out a solution to it because in the end, that's what matters to figure out how we can decrease the time of execution. So there is a very interesting concept that I learned today itself is the 3 second rule, which states that whenever you see an opportunity or a risk you want to take, do it within 3 seconds of that thought. And if you don't, your mind gets into a loop. It starts thinking about what risks are involved in that situation. Excuse me. I do say it because, well, most people say they work very well in chaos, but in reality, they do not. In fact, to be quite frank, I had a very chaotic day today. There was no time for preparation to handle whatever life threw at me or whatever situation I put myself through. And to be quite frank, the No warm up gave me the adrenaline rush. My heart was literally beating out of my chest. It was so scary, but it felt so liberating. And I guess that is what life is all about. That is the risk we are hoping for. That is the thing which is going to make us monsters. That is going to forge us into the man we can only dream about. Well, enough of the goofy education stuff. Let's talk about life in general. I'm out here sitting. It's late at night. It's past 12. It's windy. The weather is a bit cold. I can see so many apartments from over here. Such a big world. Nobody's awake at night. Or maybe there are people who are awake. Who knows what they would be doing? Nobody's out in the dark. Everyone at the comfort of their own home, inside their little blankets, keeping them warm and cozy beside their lovers. It's really interesting how the hustle and bustle of everyday life turns into a serene, peaceful midnight at dark. Although I can't see any stars in the sky. I do remember when I used to be a kid, I would go out into the terrace and I would sit there and I would look at the trees and the buildings, hoping I would see something paranormal. I don't know, that was my childish brain. Hmm. I wanted to experience something interesting, something worth telling about. Always been fascinated by the mystique, it seems. I also remember a time, I mean, most of the time when I used to travel by train and locomotives at night, I used to not sleep. I used to keep looking out the window in hopes of seeing something interesting that I can tell stories about. My main goal back then was not about telling stories, but to see something unique, something mystic, something different from this world, from the reality, from the materialism. Always been fascinated by that. And nowadays, I'm learning one very important thing, that is to push through, to be resilient, even when you're scared, even when you don't know, you have to just keep a poker face. Not exactly, you have to show expressions, but you cannot show your weakness. You cannot seem weak. It is very important that you learn that. I'm hearing it quite frequently nowadays, especially in the generation that we live in, that people are too honest about their feelings in the wrong places. For example, I was with a friend of mine. He used to take interviews. He is taking interviews. But he was taking an interview and I was just with him. So we were on a Zoom call, and the guy who was about to give the interview came on the Zoom call, and my friend asked him, "How are you? XYZ?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm so agitated today. I came to the cafe just to take the meeting, and the traffic was way hectic than it is used to be." Well, long story short, my friend did ask a couple of questions, but he was rejected from that initial statement. Sometimes people just don't expect you to tell them your sob story. They need you to harden up and do whatever is necessary. Because that is required, that you push through even when the odds are against you. The only thing that can destroy destiny is consistency, hard work, power, and not many people have that. I guess that's enough for today. I'll meet you guys tomorrow. Hope you have an amazing day.